Hello, fabulous souls. Welcome to Sew with Lapery. My name is Omotola Demigayi, and in this particular tutorial, we shall be learning how to use the pattern method to draft and cut this reversible pinafore peplum top that I'm wearing. Being reversible, one can actually style it in different ways, just like I did here. Are you loving it? We shall also be considering structure and fullness for the peplum region, and as well as the overall costing if you have to go about the production the same way that I did here. If this sounds like what you're interested in, then you need to keep watching this video till the very end. And if you are yet to subscribe to this wonderful channel, kindly do so. So let's jump right into the full tutorial. These are the fabrics that I shall be using. The wine Kampala is just about 1 yard, so I shall be adding this plain black fabric to it to make one side, while this blue Kampala fabric will be used for the entire other side. Like I said, I shall be adopting the pattern method, so here is my basic bodice pattern, which has been drafted in line with the modified edition of Lapery's method. For those that shall be interested in it, the link is already provided in the description box. So the first thing I like to do will be to separate the back block from the front block, and looking at the design, it's starting from the shoulder to the waistline at first. So I'll cut through the waistline this way. Then this portion now, I shall be applying the slash and spread technique on it to create fullness, and that will give us the peplum region. So here we are. And one of the reasons I chose the pattern method is to be able to factor the difference between front length and back length. Do you understand? Though this is a pinafore, but if you fail to put that difference into consideration, you might not have the top, staying and getting to where it should get to on the body, especially for the front piece. Do you understand? So that's why I'm adopting the pattern method. So having done this now, the next thing I'll need to do will be to remove the band. Looking at the design, there's band at the waistline. So I'll be measuring 3 inches from the waistline upwards this way for the band. So I'll square across. So I'll be doing the same thing for the front piece this way. So this is the band region which I'll be cut off. So having cut it off, I'll put that aside. So the next thing we like to do will be to determine our neck width and neck depth. So beyond the basic neck depth, I'll be coming down by 1/4 of an inch, and likewise for the width 1/4 of an inch this way. So for the shoulder line, being sleeveless, I'll come inward by 1/2 an inch like so. And for the waist area, one determines how wide one wants it to be. So for me, I shall be using the dart legs as a guide. So I'll be coming outward beyond the dart leg by 1/2 an inch this way. So I'll mark, and I'll be going ahead to connect with the shoulder line. So having connected this way, I quickly fine-tune my neck measurement, the new neckline like so, and simply cut it out. So with this, we are done with the back piece. So for the front piece, I shall be doing the same neck width. I'll mark 1/4 of an inch this way for the neck width, and I'll also be doing the depth by 1/4 of an inch. So I'll just mark 1/4 all the way like so. And for the shoulder line, I'll be coming inward 1/2 an inch, just like we did the back piece. And likewise for the waist area, I shall be using the waist dart leg as a guide. So I'll simply come outward 1/2 an inch beyond the dart leg and connect with the shoulder line. So let me quickly fine-tune the neckline this way. So for the center front, one might leave it straight on or introduce some other style lines as desired. But for me, I shall be coming inward at the waistline by 1 inch, just simply to open up that region a bit, so that by the time we introduce the belt, one will be able to fasten it very well and it will grip. Do you understand? So I'll connect this way. And for this neck region, I would like to introduce loop and button to fasten the two sides together. So with this now, we are simply done. Then I can quickly cut out. So here we are with the back and front pattern. Front length is still obviously longer than back length, and we do not need to bother with the construction of that because we are not going to be joining the two together at the sides, okay? So don't worry. Let's put this aside and continue with the draft. So for the peplum now, here's the piece that we're going to be using to draft the pattern. Can you still remember this piece? We actually cut it off from the back block. Can you still remember? It was the lower part of the back block. So the first thing will be to close up the dart such that what I have at the waistline will be quarter value of the total waist circumference. So I'll secure the closure with tape, then I'll cross check what I'm having to make sure it's quarter waist measurement. So having done that now, I'll draw slash lines this way for me to slash and spread this piece to be able to create volume. Fullness for the peplum. So I label at the center and sides respectively, then I begin to number the panels for me to spread properly. So I'll slash this way. So having slashed, to spread now, I'll need to get another piece of paper and ensure that I have angle 90 at one end. So I'll place it over and I'll be taking my time to spread as much as I could, making sure that the side seam aligned with one side of the paper and the center also aligned with the other edge of the paper this way. So for the waist area now, I'll make sure I spread in such a way that I'm having an equal radius on both sides. Then it will be necessary to cross-check the length. So I'll be marking the length at different points to cross-check. You will observe there's a little shortage at the side seam here, and this because the initial basic block was shaped at the side seam. So I'll go ahead now to fine-tune the hemline this way. And with this now, the pattern set is ready, and this could be used repeatedly for different designs, and we can move it up and down to create different volume or fullness. Do you get? So I'll go ahead now to cut out, and with this we are done with the pattern set this way. For the waistband, I might not necessarily use that pattern. All I need is the height, the width of the band this way, and my waist measurement. You get? So go ahead now to start placing on fabric to cut out. So I'll start with the peplum. So I'll be folding the fabric into two, making sure the folded edge aligns at that side. Okay. Placing it this way now, what I'll be having at the waistline will be the exact waist measurement for the back piece only. You understand? But because I need more fullness, I shall be folding the fabric again into two to make into four. And with this now, we shall be cutting it as a 360-degree flare. Do you understand? So placing back the fabric now, what I have at the waistline now will be ×2 of the waist measurement for the back piece. And this gives me excess which we shall be disposing in form of pleats. Do you understand? So I'll go ahead now, secure with pin, and at the waistline I'll add sewing allowance of ½ inch. But for the hemline, because of the fabric I'm using, it's not that much, so I wouldn't be able to have seam allowance for the hemline. So I'll simply cut it out like that, okay, without any sewing allowance for the hemline. So spreading it open now, this is what I have for the back piece. So I'll cut it at one side, and that gives me my side seam where we'll be attaching it with the front pieces. You can see the amount of fullness that I already have only for the back piece. So in the same way now, I shall be using this back piece now to cut the front pieces. Still putting the fabric on fold this way. I'll go ahead to place it and cut out the exact piece. So having cut it out now, I'm having the same thing. Can you see? So I shall be using this one now for the front piece. So I'll go ahead now to cut it again so that it becomes into two pieces. So spreading the back piece open, we'll be attaching one piece this way. That's the first side seam. I'll go ahead to attach the other side this way. So this part now becomes our center front region. And for this portion now, I would like to put it on fold and try to shape it out to make that end curved. Do you understand? So I'll cut it out as shaped like so. So we are done with the front pieces this way. So I shall be using the first side now to cut out the blue Kampala, just exactly the same way. So here are those of the back pieces, and these are those of the front pieces. So for the two sides. Okay, so for the bodice now, I shall be using the black fabric for one side, and I'll be using the blue kampala for the other side. So for the back piece, I actually cut it on fold. So by the time you spread it open, this is what we have. I added just half an inch seam allowance to the neckline and the side and the shoulder. So for the front piece, these are the front pieces this way. I added half an inch all the way. There's going to be seam at the center front as well. So these are the bodies. So for the band, I couldn't cut a straight on piece. I wanted to manage my fabric, so I just cut it into two. So there will be seam at the center back. So what I have here is half of the waist measurement plus about 20 inches, which will give us the portion for the belt that will be tied at the center front. So in the same way, I cut out the black fabric, the same length, the same width. Even this, I had to join the pieces. So now we are done cutting all that we need to cut. So for the bodies now, we shall be using this interfacing. This is ST to give it a bit of stability. While for the band and for the peplum, I shall be using this other interfacing. This is gum stay, which is medium weight, not too thick, not too soft, just in between. Do you get? So we'll go over to the ironing table now. I begin to cut and fuse. And as I do this, I'll also be trimming all the edges this way. So I'll be doing that for the peplum, for the band, and likewise for the bodice. So once this is done, I will begin to stitch. So to commence sewing, I'll start with the bodice. I'll spread open the back side, then be laying each of the front pieces on it this way. I'll go ahead to attach at the shoulder line using the half an inch seam allowance provided. So I'll do this for the other side, the kampala side, and afterwards this is what I shall have. I'll simply press open the seam this way, and I'll be laying over the other side, the black side over it, to be able to now turn and stitch the neck region. But do ensure to secure at the shoulder line for evenness of the two sides, okay? So I'll stitch the neckline, and afterwards now I shall trim, and having trim, I'll be notching. You know, it's curved in, you need to notch for it to relax. Then I'll make sure that while pressing, I'll first open the seam this way and steam it down. So having steamed down, then I'll begin to press. I'll first press one side, and as I do this, I'll be using my finger now to push in the other side underneath so that it's not reflecting on the surface. So once I do this now, I also turn to the other side and do the same thing, making sure that the black side is not showing onto the other side, so as to be able to achieve the design being reversible. Okay, so the next thing will be to stitch and turn the center front. And for the center front at the neck region, I shall be inserting loop. So I'll cut my loop this way, then I'll place it, and I first stitch it down. Then afterwards, I'll be flipping over the other side this way, then go over to the sewing machine and stitch. So having stitched, I'll need to chop up this angle for it to relax. Then we might reduce the seam as well, like so. Afterwards, this is what we have neckline and center front already prepared. So the next thing will be the sides. So I'll flip to the wrong side this way, then making sure I lay very well, first securing at the shoulder line, and having secured at the shoulder line, I'll be pinning every other side. Then I might need to press again just to make sure that the two sides are equal, there's no excess, and if there's any form of excess, I'll simply trim off like so. So having done this now, then I'll give it a nice press, just like I explained earlier, from the right side and flipping it again to the wrong side. So having done it now, this is what we have for one side. So flipping it over now, this is what I have for the other side. And the beauty of the pattern now is quite evident here. The shoulder line is now falling a bit to the front. And you can see that the front length is longer than the back length, which when worn now, depending on the fullness of the bust, it will pop up like so, and everything will stay aligned at the waistline. So with this now, I'll put the bodies aside, then we'll begin to work on the peplum. So I'll first secure at the side seam the front and back pieces together this way, and I'll stitch, and I won't stitch, I'll be pressing open the seam just like I've done for this other wide side. Can you see? So I'll make sure to do the two sides same way. Then afterwards, I shall be placing this one down. Then we'll place the other over it, secure at the side seam this way. Then making sure I secure at the other side seam. Then afterwards now I shall be stitching the hemline, but making sure to have pinned everything down before stitching. I'll stitch all the way like this, sew down to the other side. So having stitched now, I would like to trim off a little bit, not that much, just to make the sides to be equal, because this seam allowance is what I shall be using to add more structure, my crinoline to the peplum. So to attach crinoline now, I shall be placing the horsehair rather this way, like so, just at the tip, without it getting to the main fabric, so that it will not affect it being reversible. Our right side and wrong side will still stay intact. But at first, I would like to press open this seam so as to be able to, make the peplum reversible as well. Understand? So having pressed open the seam, then I'll now take my time now with the help of my fingers, fine tuning the edges and pressing. So I'll press on this side at first. Achieve what I want to achieve, then I'll also flip it back to the other side and making sure that everything stays in place. The white side is not reflecting on the blue side, and vice versa. So having done this is what we have. And at this point, I have not added my crinoline. I need to first press first, so that by the time I'm attaching the crinoline, it will be a lot easier. I wouldn't have to press. So now I'm turning it back to the wrong side for me to attach the crinoline, which is to give the peplum more structure, added structure like so. So I'll go over to the sewing machine now and be stitching on it, attaching the crinoline just at the seam, the edge. You understand? Without it getting to the main, the portion of the main fabric. I'm just attaching it onto the seam, that small seam that we have left there. Okay, so having done this now, this is what we have. Crinoline already attached, more structure achieved for the peplum area. So I need to now secure the two raw edges of the crinoline. So I shall be securing those ends with tape so that it will not pierce through the fabric and it will not irritate the skin. So with this now, I shall turn it back to the right side. So here we are. You can see it, the crinoline already giving it a bouncing effect. So all I'll need to do now will be to just stitch the two sides at the waistline together like so. I don't need to press further. I'll just stitch round and we'll go over to prepare our band. So for the band now, I've folded, I've centralized. So all I need is my waist circumference to be divided into two. So I'll place my tape measure this way. Waist 31 now will be measured as 15 and a half. I haven't folded into two this way. So what we have left here will be the belt region for the center front. So what I'll do again now will be to centralize the waist measurements. I'll divide what I've measured now into two so as to get the side seam region. So I'll mark this way. That is at 0.7 and 3/4 like so this way. So what I'll do now will be to notch those ends, and I shall be following the markings now to even mark at the upper part this way. So this same measurement, I will transfer it to the black fabric as well. So do my proper notchings and marking. So I'll go ahead now to spread open the band. I'm following the seam at the center back. I'll be folding the peplum now. I'll first fold it into two, locate the side seam region, and then locate my center back point, and I'll notch. So having gotten the center back point and notch, I shall be placing it to aligning with that of the band where we have seam at the center back. So I'll secure with pin this way. Then I'll also be attaching the side seam with the other notch point. I'll locate the notch point, so I'll attach, pin it together this way. So for the center front region, I'll also be locating the first notching that we marked, and I'll pin it together like so. So having pinned now, you can see the excesses that we have in between, which we shall be disposing in form of pleats this way. Can you see? So in the same way now, I shall be locating the side seam for the other side and aligning with the notch point at the side seam. and likewise for that of the center front this way. So the next thing we need to do now will be to go to the sewing machine and just stitch down. So to stitch down now, I shall be disposing the excesses and I'll just be stitching using 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch, not half inch, 1/4 of an inch at this point. So this is how I get to stitch it all around and also dispose the excesses in between. So here we are. It has been attached. So at this point now, I shall be placing the other side of the band. I would like to centralize at the center back this way. And following the markings and the notchings, I'll secure with pins all the way like so. And likewise for the other side. So having pinned now, I'll now be stitching using half an inch. You understand? So at this point, I'll place it over the sewing machine, making sure that I am placing it in such a way that the first stitching is visible. Can you see? So I'll now be able to stitch a little bit down to making half an inch. You understand? So in that way, now the first stitching is already secured, and I'm using my actual half an inch seam allowance now to secure and stitch. You understand? So having stitched to the other side now, for the belt region, all I'll do will be continue my stitching. I'll first back stitch at that point, then continue stitching all around like so, back to the other notching at the upper part of the band this way. You understand? So when I get to this point, I'll just back stitch and stop. So I'll be doing the same thing for the other side of the belt at the other side, same way. And with this, we are almost done. So here we are now, the two sides of the band already attached to the peplum and the belt region also sewn. So I'll notch the two angles of the belt and try to bring it inside out. So having done the two sides like that, I'll give it a nice pressing down this way. And for the waistband, I shall be pressing on both sides like so. So having pressed both sides, the next thing I would like to do will be to fold the remaining opening that we are having at the waistband inward using half an inch, which was the seam allowance. So I'll fold in and press down this way while I'll tuck in the other side and I'll secure with pin this way. So this is how I get to do the remaining opening that we are having on the waistband this way. So having done it like that, I'll now press, then I'll be turning it to the other side, and it's time for us now to attach the bodice. So for the bodice now, what I'll do will be to fold the back piece now into two. I'll fold it into two, then I'll notch it at the center back. And this notch point now, I shall be aligning it, with that of the band. There's actually seam at the center back. So I'll make sure it aligns with that seam and I'll secure with pin. So I also now spread and secure the other ends this way using pin. And when it comes to sewing, I shall be stitching just with 1/4 of an inch at the moment, 1/4 of an inch. Afterwards now, I'll tuck in properly and then I shall be able to now stitch properly. You understand? So in the same way now, I'll be attaching that of the front piece this way. But remember that while we were drafting, we came inward 1 inch from the center front. So now what I'll do is, from this point that we had already stitched, I'll mark, then I'll be coming inward with that same 1 inch. Do you understand? So that it will conform with what we have drafted on our pattern. So having marked here, I'll pin this way. So I'll get to do the other side of the front same way. Then I'll go over to the sewing machine now and just stitch using 1/4 of an inch. So having done stitching, this is what we have. The body is already attached this way. So all I'll do now will be to flip back the other side of the band and secure properly with pins like so. So that by the time we go over to the sewing machine, I'll just be stitching at the very tip and both sides will be secured properly. Do you understand? So stitching it now, we are done with the making of our reversible pinafore peplum top. And you can see it's neatly stitched. So the last but not the least will be to go ahead now and attach the button, and we are good to go rocking our top. So moving to costing now, I have this breakdown. I actually used about 1.5 yards of fabric for each side. That means for the two sides, we're talking about 3 yards. But for fabric, I put 3 to 4 yards here. So it depends on the size of who you are making it for. I actually used an inexpensive Kampala which I bought for 3,000 naira, 6 yards for 3,000 naira. So the 3 to 4 yards now will be estimated at 2,000 naira. Okay. Then the interfacing that I use for the bodies, the SD, half yard of it will go for 500 naira. Then the other interfacing that I use for the band and the peplum, we are going to be using about 2.5 yards of it, which will go for 750 naira. Then the crinolite, the horsehair that we attach to the hemline of the peplum, will go for 1,000 naira, 5 yards of it. Then the thread, the loops, and the button I estimated at 200 naira. So this direct material cost already is estimated at 4,500 naira. So going to the indirect material, your drafting paper and all the other resources that you use, your tape, the gum and all that, estimated at 500 naira. Then if you had to label, then your packaging and all of that, the nylon, estimated at 500 naira. So that is already 5,500. Then we're talking about your overhead and general administrative, your consultation, data calls, purchasing, transportation, lighting, power, maintenance, the rent of where you are using, the labor if you have to hire somebody to do the job for you. All of those things will come to be and I estimated at 6,000 naira. So we're already talking about 11,500. Then for profit, I left it plain. Depends on the designer. How much do you think you are worth to produce this top? Considering the time that it take you to produce one, how many can you produce in a week? How many can you produce in a month? And considering also the life of your dream that you want to live, how can this business sustain you? For me, I think making this top should not be less than 18,000 naira to 20,000 naira. And if your client requests that you make a skirt or a trouser to go with it, then you're talking about nothing less than 25,000 naira. Some might say, oh, Lapery, you are too cheap, or say, oh, that's on the hard side. But I think that is just fear. For one to run a successful business that is sustainable, do you understand? I think that is fair. If you think that is not good enough, let's talk in the comment section. Okay. If this video has been helpful, kindly give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe or to turn on the notification bell. Until my next video, thank you for watching. Bye for now.